Welcome to a new month, Jassyrians. October is here, and you know what that means? It means 2025 is rounding up with just 2 months to Christmas and the end of the year. And like I always say here, Merry Christmas in advance. If you like, you don't like, it's Merry Christmas in advance. Well, having said that, we still have 3 whole months to reflect, rethink, and of course have the conversations that matter right here on Jassyri. So once again, welcome back to the show. That's because we know you missed us yesterday, and we missed you too. But speaking of conversations that matter, did you know that last month was PCOS Awareness Month, and together the whole world put a spotlight on it? But the conversation cannot end in September alone, because for millions of women, Polycystic Ovary Syndrome is not a campaign. It's a daily reality of irregular cycles, weight changes, pain, infertility, stigma, and the emotional toll of being dismissed or misunderstood. And so this morning on Jassyri, we're circling back to the conversation on PCOS. Last month, we asked, what really is PCOS? What are the signs? What causes it? And can it be treated or cured? It was a very insightful conversation with Dr. Bayomi Ajayi. So this time around, we are asking, beyond the diagnosis, what next? And who better to answer than someone who knows this road personally? She has walked it, she has survived it, and now she uses her voice to support others still on the journey. That conversation comes up after the break. But first, Inam with the doings.
Yesterday marked Nigeria's 65th year of independence. And if it's not too late, then on behalf of myself, on behalf of the show, and on behalf of the ladies, I say happy independence anniversary, Nigeria. Happy independence anniversary, ladies.
Honestly, but I seem to be the only one excited about the independence because
What? I don't understand.
I enjoyed myself yesterday. I had fun. I was smiling all through. I was hopeful.
Oh, wow.
I listened to the president's speech and he gave me hope.
It did, didn't
Yes,
it?
it did.
Okay.
So, as Darshan said, yesterday marked Nigeria's 65th Independence Day. And as the country marked another year of independence yesterday, parade or no parade, we took to the streets to feel the pulse of Nigerians on the celebration. We asked them about the struggles, we asked them about the wins and their hopes for the future after 65 years. Now, the question on everyone's mind and everyone's table is, do people still feel proud to call themselves Nigerian? I think we do. I think our ladies do as well. Are they even celebrating? What change do they want to see? And what dreams do they hold for the next decade? And ladies and gentlemen, here's what they had to say. This is Jassyri on the Streets.
Yes, we have our trials and challenges as a country, yes, but we can only improve it based on what we are today.
I can't say we are independent because we are enslaving ourselves. The social amenities that are supposed to come for the citizen, we are not getting it easily. So for me, it's a no.
Nigeria has not really benefited anything from being a member of this country since independence.
We survived the economic crisis, civil war, and some other things, and we have remained a united country. That is the beauty of it.
Maybe because Nigeria is a free country. Apart from that, I don't see anything. I'm proud to be in Nigeria because I have liberty to do all things I want to do, unlike other places.
One thing I'm most proud of for being in Nigeria, I would say the freedom.
If I have the opportunity of changing anything in this country, I want to change the leader and have a good leader.
Our leaders. A good government, because we don't have good government.
With the way Nigeria is going now, there is no hope. But there is nothing God cannot do. So Nigeria can still be better tomorrow.
I hope everything is okay, everything is better. If our youth of today take over the government, and I know that's the only way I believe hope can come for Nigerians.
Rome was not built in a day. So young generation should try as much as possible to discipline themselves, have focus, and be determined that they want to make a better country.
Keep believing that Nigeria can get better and keep doing what is right as a citizen and be patriotic of whatever that is coming out of Nigeria. Let's patronize our own thing here in Nigeria.
I don't know what to say to Nigeria because Nigeria itself is something else. So I don't really know what to say.
a country gets the kind of leaders it deserves. So everybody should contribute his own quota towards making sure that Nigeria has a good name. And that is patriotism. Let us be patriotic about Nigeria. Let us do what is right and get it right.
With the age of digitalization we are having now, a lot of things has changed. So for the old school cargos, if they step down for them, they'll step up a lot of things, and it will be very smart and seamless.
We thank God that I am here today. We are all here today. So we all thank God that we are not in the midst of war. Nigeria is still a country. We are moving towards the fulfillment of our destiny as a nation. A nation is a work in progress. And with that, we can move forward.
Oh, well, you know, you heard that so many people had a lot to say about the independence, how they feel, and where they think Nigeria is actually heading. And like I said earlier, a lot of people are not hopeful about, you know, Nigeria. Like someone actually did say that there's no hope for Nigeria, but I don't believe that there is no hope. I believe that we're hopeful people.
No, you said you were hopeful just before we went to the streets.
For some reason I was excited. It might
Why?
be personal. I really don't know. You know, it might be personal, but I think a lot of people have gone to have come to a stage where they do not believe the leaders anymore. They do not believe that there is hope for Nigeria, because it seems like every leader that comes on board is just in it for himself. And the president came, had his speech yesterday. He made his speech yesterday, and he talked about the strides, the achievements, and so many people seem to think that, you know, it's just the usual thing, you know, someone just, you know, wrote it and gave it to him. And it's because, I understand, because a lot of people are not feeling the impact. So many people are broke. So many people don't have jobs, right? So many people don't even know where they're going to get the next meal. But it is also good to have hope. And I hope this actually teaches us a lesson, so that next time we go to the polls, we are able to vote for who we think will move Nigeria forward, rather than being sentimental about our votes.
I think we always see this with every election year. Let's vote who we want. But I think Nigerians have also arrived at the point where it really doesn't matter who they want, because if you're going with who we wanted, a lot of Nigerians would disagree with you and say, I'm not sure this is who we wanted in the first place. So everybody loses. So when you say you're hopeful, a lot of Nigerians don't feel that hope, because they're saying, what's the point? Tomorrow now we are hopeful, but tomorrow something can change. And what we hope for doesn't, you go there with the confidence, you're doing everything that's right. You shade the proper candidate you want, and then it's like a abracadabra, and then something else comes up, and it seems like, so all the struggle, all the effort we put into this, is this what we're getting?
But do you think that was actually what actually happened in the last elections? Because I feel tribalism played a huge role, you know, in the last elections. And this is one thing a lot of Nigerians have still, you know, failed to get out of their heads. If we want Nigeria to move forward, we need to start thinking as one. No Igbo, no Hausa, no Yoruba, no Urobo, no regional whatever. Think as Nigerians.
Can I? African. In fact, I was going to ask Inam that. Is it, as Africans, can we really do that? Let's take a look at, sorry, we're taking you back to your homeland.
Where they don't
Before South Africa, before South Africa attained its independence, there was a lot of work, a lot of sweat, a lot of blood, a lot of, you know, that does Nigeria really need to?
But don't forget, she said South Africa is even younger than Nigeria. Like,
we're sugar daddy.
Like, exactly. So it took you this amount of time to be where you are, and why is it taking us so long? Like,
you know what, Darshan made a point right now. When I was going to come, and I actually wanted to jump in on the hope side of things, because I see both of you guys, you know, throwing around this hope word. Man, what can I say? I think it's a lot. For somebody, I think I've been in Nigeria now for, 5 years? And outside of the point that Darshan made about we need to throw to the side the Igbo and Yoruba and Hausa and all of that. I feel like, you know, let me be frank. I think before President Tinubu came in, You guys had your previous leader.
Yeah.
And there was a day I sat with a friend's father. A friend of mine was Nigerian, but she was in boarding school with me in Essay. And I asked the father, and I said, so based on your own understanding, I hope you guys don't cancel me for what I'm about to say. I'm repeating what he said. I asked him, I said to him, what do you make of the leader that you guys have? Like, what's your take on it? And you know what he said? He made a statement that shocked me. And he said, a nation gets the leader that they deserve at the time. And that is something that sometimes people cannot be open and honest about. That the leader that a nation gets sometimes is a leader that they deserve. One, because the leader came from the people, right?
Yep.
The leader came from the people. And it blew my mind because I now began to think of the presidents we had and I said, do we deserve them? You know? And you look at it because, I mean, now we've got Ramaphosa. Before that, we had Jacob Zuma. Before that, we had Thabo Mbeki. And I'm like, did we really get the ones that we deserve? And I feel like even in as much as it is the people of Nigeria that have got maybe the responsibility to curb certain things like the, what do you guys call it, the tribal issues and whatnot. You know, there's this thing that Americans say that say, we the people, right? So it's we the people,
American people,
for the people, by the people, right? The leader that is put into power comes from the people. And that's the thing that people sometimes tend to not understand about leadership, that just because you are in a, and I'm not saying that he is, but just because you are in a place of leadership does not necessarily mean you know how to lead, because a leader should be able to lead by example. And I'm not saying that the president is not, you know, but many things like that, the initiatives to curb this tribalistic thing needs to also come from leadership. And if leadership is not emulating that, then it's a ripple effect that goes down. If the issue is corruption or it's whatever, it starts from somewhere. For a low-level employee to feel like they can steal, they would have seen it somewhere. Because what gives you the gallbladder and the strength to feel like I can do this? Because
nothing can happen.
You know what I'm trying to say? So I feel like even with the issue of hope,
when I've asked. Honestly, like I said, I feel like I'm the only one who, you know, have been asked or have been told Happy Independence, and I respond, oh, thank you so much, Happy Independence to you as well, because you did not respond in a very exciting tone. The e-hailing service guy that picked me up yesterday, I told him, I said, Happy Independence. I know he said, he just smirked. I was like, Happy New Month. And I screamed. Like, do you get what I'm saying? But this thing you're talking about, right? The problem is the people are hungry, right? Yeah. And that is, a lot of people have actually said that has been used as a weapon against them. Right. So when it's time to vote next time and somebody comes up to you and tells you, vote for this person, vote for this candidate, and I will give you 5,000 naira. They jump on it because they're hungry and they need money. Of course. And I saw a video before coming into work this morning, and this is in Cameroon. They gave them a bottle of Fanta and 1,000 francs.
Oh, man.
No, 1,000 CFA francs, and they came up to collect it with a bottle of what do you call it? With a bottle of drink, like exactly.
But you know, one of the reasons why that is, you know, why the reason why that is because I feel like this is a card that is played everywhere in Africa. Yes. Because the reality is that Darshan, even in South Africa, we've got Joburg, Cape Town, Pretoria, all of these places, but then we've got people that are in the villages of Mdantsane, you know, Engileni. These are villages. Do you understand? And the majority or the numbers that are there are also quite high. Yeah. And for the whatever years that the government is in power, they probably never even make a visit there. But the minute they need votes, that's when you will see them there. Because for example, in South Africa, what many people, especially in the villages, know is that once upon a time, there was apartheid, and it was the ANC, which is a black political party, that brought us into power. So for as long as there is breath in our body, it is ANC. You understand? And the ANC plays on that because they would sit down and not do anything, not even build a toilet for our grandmothers in the village. But the minute it is time to campaign,
they hold on to those.
When our grandmother see our president, be like, yo, Ufigi, like he's here. And they play on that emotion because for the longest time, they have never seen the value or the reforms of having black man in governance and in power. But when it is time to start campaigning, They'll build toilets.
Then we
They'll
have
build.
to respond differently as a people. I hear what you say and I hear what Darshan says. And I'm saying it to myself, we have to respond and never get tired of responding to them. And putting up walls and saying no. Because also they say, you know, that slogan, they say, your vote is your power.
Your vote counts.
Your vote counts, your vote is your power. So why are we not using that power? Because Inam said something very interesting. You get the leader you deserve. When she said it, I smiled because on so many levels it resonates. And the truth is that these people are not unicorns, like Lola would say often. They're not unicorns, they are from among us. So if they are from among us, they have lived our way, and if there's corruption that has gone unchecked and unaccounted for, it's because it has been left to play out. So whether we like it or not, we have to change something.
I just want to say something before we go on a quick break. There was a question Inam actually asked if people still feel proud to call themselves Nigerians. And I would say that, yes, absolutely.
I agree.
People feel proud. See, even if the country is burning, they will still feel proud
It's my
to
identity.
call themselves
Yes.
Nigerians.
I am not defined by that
It doesn't mean that
governance.
they're happy with what is going on, you know, in the country, but they will still be proud to call themselves Nigerian. Take it to the bank anyway.
I have never in my entire life seen a Nigerian compromise and shy away from saying I am Nigerian.
Do you know who I am?
Yeah.
Do you know who we are?
Do you know who we are? We're so
and it has nothing to do with our political leaning.
It's just who you are. It's your hair, like really. So I think, like Darshan said, whatever they are doing is whatever they are doing. That's not me.
Exactly.
I am Nigerian. I am not
and
the
that
systems.
actually gives us hope.
Yes.
So just keep keeping on, man. All right, so we'll take a quick break, but when we come back, we'll talk about PCOS, which is not just a medical term. It's about real lives, you know, real struggles. It's about fertility challenges, physical health battles, body image struggles, and even mental health and other health challenges that result from it. Because globally, 1 in 10 women of reproductive age is affected with PCOS. So after this break, we'll be joined by Fareedah Afolabi, founder, Cysters, a woman who will take us into her world as she opens up and shares with us about her battle with PCOS, how it changed her body, her confidence, and her life. It's going to be raw, honest, and unfiltered. Sounds very Jasiri, doesn't it? Stay with us. The conversation begins when we return. Welcome back to the show. It's good to have you join us today. You're watching Jasiri right here on News Central TV. Now, last time we discussed PCOS extensively, we sat down with a doctor who helped us understand PCOS medically. And today we sit with a survivor to unpack her story. But here is a refresher before we begin. According to the College of Medicine, University of Ibadan, PCOS is a hormonal disorder that causes enlarged ovaries with small cysts on the outer edges. Polycystic Ovary Syndrome, otherwise known as PCOS, affects millions of women worldwide because 1 in every 10 women of reproductive age has PCOS. So according to the Tropical Journal of Obstetrics and Gynecology in Kano, about 6.2% of women aged 18 to 45 at gynecology clinics had PCOS. In Enugu as well, fertility clinics in Enugu says that figure jumps to 18.1%. We move to Ilorin, where among over 600 infertile women studied, 12.2% were diagnosed with PCOS. But beyond these statistics are the women and girls battling the symptoms, you know, daily. And so joining us right now is someone who has not only read about PCOS, but has lived it. From the discomfort to the diagnosis, the surgery and the recovery, she has walked that road and is still walking it, you know, to help women who go through it with education, awareness, and support. Fareedah Afolabi is the founder of Cysters, a fast-growing community of over 600 women and girls living with PCOS. She is an SEO writer, content creator, brand and music PR consultant, and digital influencer. Currently a final-year law student, she is also a digital activist and a feminist actively leading campaigns and fundraisers for women causes. Fareedah is committed to supporting women and amplifying their voices. And now, I must say, because all these accolades for someone who is still in school. That is a true Jasiri woman. Welcome to Jasiri, Fareedah.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
It's a pleasure.
Fareedah, I mean, like Darshan just said, well done on everything that you're doing. I, for one, have never heard of PCOS. I mean, every now and again, I really, honestly,
Are you serious?
I promise you.
Oh my God.
So for me, I need you to educate me a bit. I mean, if you are open to be candid about it, can you just let us in, myself, and I mean some of the viewers that are also listening in, on your journey? I would like to know, when did you first realize that something was not right? What are some of the symptoms that you might have experienced, and how the PCOS journey, began with you?
It has been a very long journey, but the first time I realized I had PCOS, I mean, I didn't know it was PCOS, but it was my first symptom, which was when I was 9 years old, and
wow.
I got my first period.
Yeah.
I bled. I mean, everything was fine until, it wasn't fine. I bled for 1 week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks, 2 months.
The first time?
And counting, yes, for the first
Wow.
time at about 9 years old. I mean, we knew that there was something wrong, but we did not know what it was exactly. There was not enough information or awareness about it. Even the hospitals, they were like, we don't quite know what's wrong with her.
Wow.
But we think that it's because she's quite young and her body is not quite adjusting properly to the periods. There were no answers, right? And this was, it began a cycle of going from one hospital to the other, one traditional, this to the other, right?
Wow.
And they started putting me on birth control pills at 9 years old.
Birth control?
As a child, I started gaining so much weight. I was depressed. It basically ruined my childhood. I was dealing with periods that were not just stopping. I was bleeding for so long. And then I knew that I just could not continue living this way. So I started reading up on it. Some years later, when I was growing up and starting to understand that this is an actual problem. So I would start Googling, what does it mean when I'm bleeding for so long? When you don't really know what is wrong with you and you're just Googling your symptoms, right? And then I saw PCOS, Polycystic Ovarian Syndrome, once on Google, and I was like, God forbid. It looked so scary, and I was 18, right? It was really scary, but that was the first time I read about it.
That is quite traumatic
You know
for
what?
a 9-year-old to go through all of that. It is quite traumatic, because for so many women, getting a diagnosis usually takes years. And in fact, I must say, a lot of women still do not know if they have PCOS or not.
Up to 70% of women with PCOS are still undiagnosed.
What was that process like for you? It must have been so traumatic for you at 9, when your mates are, moving on with life, they're in school, they're with friends, they're learning, and you're going up and down in hospitals. What was it like for you?
It was traumatic, but it's still understating to say it was a whole mental cycle of, is there something wrong with me? Am I cursed? Am I possessed? What is wrong with me exactly? And not having answers. And that's why I took to Google to start looking for those answers. But in 2022, I finally decided to, go and get a proper diagnosis. When I started getting sense of gynecology, I went to see a gynecologist who then said, I think you have PCOS. We don't have enough information yet. There's not enough research, but this is what I think you have. And that's when I got properly diagnosed in 2022. Then I started, tweeting about it. I remember the first time I tweeted about it, someone said, delete this, nobody's going to marry you.
Oh, are you serious?
Yes. I was scared, is this real?
So that's the stigma that comes with it.
But I still, I started thinking about the things I went through as a child and the other girls that may possibly be going through this. So I still kept tweeting about it.
Fareedah, I'm having something in my head, and I'm hoping you can answer my question, right? This thing she said just threw me back into when I was 14 because of some of the things that you mentioned. I remember when I was 14, and this is where my question is going. One day, out of nowhere, I was at school, and I just began to feel really, really bad cramps, right? And went to see a doctor, because at one point I had a candid conversation. You'd go through your cycle, but then it lasted a bit longer, right? And when it lasted a bit longer, they did a few scans. And at the time, I was probably 13, and they said an ovarian cyst. So to shrink it, they gave birth control. So I was on birth control for about 6 months or so. just to reduce the size. And again, it's quite interesting that she's saying that because I was 13 and you were 9. So I think my question to you now, I don't know if you know, if not, I have to do my research. When we're looking at ovarian cysts and we're looking at PCOS, is there a difference?
So for you to be diagnosed of PCOS is at least 2 out of 3 things, right? You may have cysts on your ovaries, which is the Polycystic Ovary Syndrome. But then in some women, it's an hormonal balance condition. An hormonal imbalance condition, rather. So where women have a higher quantity of male hormones.
That's testosterone.
Testosterone or androgens, right? So in women, we all have male hormones, which are testosterone. But in women with PCOS, we have a higher level, and that's why we start having facial hair,
acne,
or our menstrual cycle starts to get a little bit irregular. So in some women, they don't see their periods. I experienced that too. So I went some years without seeing my periods at all.
Years?
Yes.
It did that. Now that it brings flashes of experiences. I think I was like 16. I didn't see periods for like 6 to 8 months, and that time you say to yourself, but I haven't been with anybody. Like, am I pregnant? Is it a miracle? Before I could think too far, it came right back. So fortunately for me, I didn't have to, experience this, but I can't get it out of my head that you said from 9, the first time you started perioding, it took you over 2 weeks to keep
over 2 months.
Over 2 months consistent. That's consistent loss of blood. Now, in a country like Nigeria, where everyone is so opinionated, everyone is thinking when you are gaining weight or you have acne, they're thinking probably it's laziness or lifestyle or even, I don't know what it is. How did it affect you living with PCOS at from such a young age to now? I mean, you have been, and I give it to you, you took the bull by the horn, you started doing your research by yourself, and you put it out there. How can somebody say the first thing that comes to your mind is that nobody's going to marry you? But still you kept forging ahead. Did that do anything to you mentally, or did it just spur you to keep pushing harder?
Well, at first it was disheartening. I mean, thinking about PCOS, what a lot of people first think of is infertility.
Exactly.
And as someone that I was brought up to think that, the essence of a woman is to have a child. I was disheartened by the situation or the fact that I may never get to have a child, but that's completely false, by the way. PCOS does not equal infertility, and it does not mean that you're lazy or you're eating bad. It's just the way your body is set up to not function properly. And also insulin resistance, which means that our body does not exactly break down sugar properly, and that's why so many women have excessive weight gain and they're unable to lose weight easily. So it's not your fault, it's just PCOS.
So the problem with, some Nigerian women right now is they abuse a lot of things, right? So the fact that you get to a certain age and you gain so much weight, does it necessarily mean that you have PCOS? And then some have actually asked questions. I have asked questions like, if you have facial hair, right? Does it necessarily mean that you have PCOS? I've actually asked, and I know, but let me hear from you if you actually have an idea, because does facial hair necessarily mean PCOS?
No, it doesn't necessarily mean PCOS. However, it can be a factor. So if you have facial hair that is a bit more than usual, you should probably see a gynecologist to get tested.
All right.
Inam has the next question before we go on break.
In South Africa, they say if you have facial hair, it's because you're stubborn.
No, they say that here in Nigeria as well. They say you're wicked in Nigeria.
Oh, wow.
Oh, my goodness.
So, Fareedah, you have taken a bit of a traumatic, difficult experience and you've turned it into a platform for advocacy. Can you tell us about that? Can you tell us about how the Cysters journey began, what you do, and how you were able to just transition that at such a young age,
honestly,
into something that is a platform. I think 600 girls.
Well, over 1,000.
Over 1,000 girls. Someone as young as you to do that. Can you just take us?
And in addition, please, how do you find the time? Like, how do you connect with these women?
Honestly, and everything.
When Darshan was reading the things that you're doing, I was like, that's dizzying. So how do you connect with these women? Do they find you, or you actively create safe spaces? In addition to Inam's question, please.
Yes, so I started tweeting about it. I started I started gaining a bit of following. So I decided, you know what am I going to use all of these things to do? Let me just start talking about these things because, you know, for the young girls that are probably going through it was actually targeted at the young, you know, girls because of what I experienced when I was 9 years old. So I started tweeting about it. Then someone just texted me, oh, I think I have this thing, and this is the first time I'm hearing of this name. What can you, you know, advise me? What do I need to do? And that's when I started thinking, this can be so much bigger than what it is. So I created a community, a Twitter community in February of this year. And I wanted to create a space where women can talk about our symptoms without getting dismissed. So now, about 6 months later, we now have over 1,000 women from different countries across the world. I have people texting me from Lesotho, from South Africa, from Angola, from Germany. You know, I have people's husbands also texting me, oh, my wife has this, can you add her to the group?
Wow. And you're doing it all by yourself?
Yes, I am.
That's
and
beautiful.
you're still in law school?
I just graduated from UNILAG. So
Oh,
I'm going to law school soon.
congratulations.
Thank
Yay.
you.
Congratulations.
Now on that note, it's a powerful conversation, Darshan.
It is, but we'll take a break. When we come back, we'll definitely continue this conversation. Stay with us.
You're back with us, and if you are just joining us, we've been hearing a deeply personal story of dealing with PCOS, not just as a medical condition, but a full life experience. Our guest is Fareedah Afolabi. She's the founder of Cysters, a growing community of women and girls living with PCOS. Fareedah has been sharing her story with us on living with PCOS. So Fareedah, I mean, after the treatment, what did healing look like for you? And I'm not just talking about physically. Yeah. What did this look like mentally and emotionally, even spiritually? Because, I mean, at one point you said, were you under attack or were you cursed? Can you take us through what that looked like?
Well, healing obviously started with getting diagnosed properly and getting on drugs, you know, but I think majorly it was sharing my experience because I felt isolated. I felt lonely for many years, not knowing someone else that had what I had. Yeah. So when I started to speak about it, I felt a sense of healing and speaking to other women that had it. So I think creating a community was a major step in my healing. I was able to get a sense of what other people are going through and how they navigate it. A huge part of PCOS is the mental toll that it takes on you, and up to 70% of women with PCOS are actually depressed or are likely to be depressed. So I experienced depression for most of my childhood and my young adulthood life. So I think speaking to people and saying, hey, I don't feel okay, I'm depressed, I'm going through this, I'm not fine, was a huge part of my healing.
Well, what about, your recovery after the procedure? Did you feel immediate relief or did the symptoms still linger?
The symptoms linger and they linger every day. Sometimes you wake up with pain, you're just not fine, or you're excessively bleeding, or when you're even on your period, the pain that you go through is incomparable. There's just always something with PCOS, right? And that's why I say that more people should speak about it, more people should learn about it.
I've heard some people actually die of period pain. Is it part of PCOS?
I don't know.
However, sure. We need to ask, a doctor.
What I know for sure, sorry, Inam, is that some people think it's beyond a health issue. It becomes now like an identity issue. Probably these are part of the things that contribute to depression. Maybe not for you, but for other women, because you start asking yourself questions. So I'm just going to ask you, do you think it's more of an identity issue? And do you think in some way the fear of it, I mean, not the fear of it, the experience of it made you feel held back from achieving a lot of the things you set out to achieve regarding your dreams, your goals, or feel less about yourself? And how has that been for other people? Because I see you're a very strong young girl. You've worked on yourself. But perhaps there are other people who struggle in these things that I've said. So, how would you respond to that?
Yeah, like I said, PCOS is not just a reproductive condition, and I'd wish that more people, navigated it beyond reproduction. So it affects you. You cannot sleep well. You have migraines. Some people appetite, excessive weight gain. Some people are struggling with body image issues. Some people are also struggling with delayed fertility. I don't like to say infertility.
Yes,
So
delayed
fertility. So
fertility, I
all
like
of these
that.
things affect, how women go through it. But I think that if we create more awareness and say, hey, this is possibly what you're going through and this is how you can navigate it, speak to a gynecologist, we can move past it. It shouldn't hold you back. It constantly tries to, but I fight it. You can't hold me down.
Speaking of holding you back, you've achieved quite a lot, like Inam has actually said, for such a young person. You've managed being a student, entrepreneur, and also an activist, and you're still doing it. In fact, your community is even growing at the moment, and you're expecting more, people coming into your community, and you're expecting to do more, right? But has there ever been a moment when your health made you feel like your ambitions were slipping away from you, and you just needed to stop and focus on yourself rather than all these other women who need your help?
Yes, so a couple of times during my law degree, and I felt every exam period, I'm always sick. That's even something that all my friends know about now. So I take a break from it. Especially as an advocate, nobody really, listens or speaks about your health. Nobody really cares. Everybody
because
just wants
you're
to
giving
dump,
a lot out.
Yes, everybody just wants to dump your problems
Yeah.
on you. So sometimes I just take a break. So when they know that I'm absent from the group chat, I'm not responding, they know, hey,
there's a problem.
Fareedah needs a break. I've also added some moderators or admins that also help me to manage the group when I'm not available.
Oh, wow. Okay, so Fareedah, through Cysters, I want you to just take us through that. I mean, I want to ask you, because you've mentioned some of the symptoms and how, so many things vary. Can you let me in, on some of the recurring themes that you hear from women and how you keep your, community supportive, how you support them and how other women support each other? And of course, I know that there have been so many highs and lows. Can you let us know some of your proud moments, through Cysters?
Okay, we had our first Cysters baby recently.
Oh,
So a woman came to the group chat to say, hey, I just had my baby and I wanted to inspire other women that think that PCOS equals infertility, and that was very exciting for me. Minus all of the downs, people getting sick, people not seeing their periods. We had a win and it was very exciting for me. Also, I've done some fundraisers. I've paid PCOS drugs for women that are struggling. Yes, we have period poverty in Nigeria. So women cannot afford, to buy pads or to even pay for drugs, right? So I've paid for a couple of women. I've also hosted fundraisers where other women can also pay for other women's drugs. So that's been very prideful for me.
So in your answer, you've debunked two things.
Yeah.
First of all, to the Twitter lady that said, take it down. Your PCOS sister had a baby, meaning she's probably married. So that has been debunked.
Exactly.
I like that.
Yeah.
Let me take you back to, looking at the statistics we mentioned earlier from Kano, Ilori, and Enugu, where PCOS affects millions of women worldwide. Like 1 in 10 women of reproductive age has PCOS. So according to the Institute's, the Tropical Journal of Obstetrics and Gynecology in Kano, Darshan gave us that. That's like 6.2% of women between 18 to 45 at gynecology clinics had like PCOS. So looking at that, do you think PCOS is getting enough attention? And in Nigeria, and from your experience, how do the grassroots, the women at the grassroots, how can they be educated better in PCOS awareness? Because whether they like it or not, there are people who don't know.
Yep.
They just assume that it is a painful, when I'm on my period, it's so painful, I can barely do anything else, but they don't know that it probably is PCOS. And what are urgent steps that need to be taken here in Nigeria?
Okay, first of all, I want to speak on medical misogyny, which is conditions that primarily affect women. They're not properly researched. There are so many misconceptions around it, or they're not taken seriously. I remember the first time I went to the doctor and it's like, just get married early.
Oh.
Yes.
Fareedah,
you may not have a child.
Yeah.
We should,
So
in
get
one of
married
these questions,
early.
we should ask you the 10 things you've heard that are really
Yeah, the craziest.
honestly.
Don't worry, I can give you 1 million.
I can imagine.
So they're not taking it seriously. You have a girl that's not seeing her period regularly. You're telling her to get married. Or some people, they say, oh, she's wayward. someone that's not getting a period regularly say, oh, she's probably sleeping
Or
with
she's
men,
pregnant or
she's
something.
pregnant, or she's had an abortion. So they don't take conditions that affect, especially in Nigeria. There's so many myths. There are so many. So many. So first of all, there should be appropriate funding of PCOS research. That's something that I constantly advocate for. And the government needs to put proper attention and funding into PCOS research. There also needs to be sensitization, shows, jingles, on TV, like we're doing right now. Everywhere, like we're doing right now, this is a sensitization campaign for PCOS. We also need to go to the grassroots, to the streets. I'm working on a collaboration where we go to secondary schools, especially public secondary schools, to speak about PCOS. I'm sure there's so many girls that are going through it and they don't know what is wrong with them.
All right, aside medication, or medical treatments, I've heard a lot of people talk about how you can take care of yourself and how you can maintain your weight and everything. Talked about diet, exercise, or even mental health routines, because Dr. Abayomi shared with us last time, that PCOS can cause other health challenges like diabetes, heart issues, and even more. So, for you, what does self-care look like? In just 1 minute, you can share with, those watching.
Going to the gym. So I decided to start going to the gym last year. Last year, July or August, I decided to start going to the gym, and many people thought it was because I wanted to lose weight. And I'm like, but you look great, why do you want to lose weight? But it was mostly for my health, for PCOS. And that's something I also tell other women to try and do. It helps you mentally, it helps you feel fit. You're able to also sleep better when you go to the gym. I also shared a before and after on my Twitter. I lost so much weight. I used to be.
Really?
And there's something called the PCOS belly, where fat just stores in your midsection. So a lot of women have it, and I was able to conquer that with the gym.
Oh, that's nice.
All right, well, we'll take a quick breather. When we come back, we will be on the home stretch, according to Kathy, of this conversation. Stay with us.
All right, like Darshan said, truly we're on the home stretch of Jasiri. I don't know where the time flies. We're just having this nice, comfortable, easy conversation with Fareedah. So, but before we quickly have to run to the studio, Fareedah, looking back, living with PCOS, your early days, the diagnosis, the entire advocacy, how would you describe that season of your life?
I don't know. I would say traumatic. No girl ever has to go through it. No woman should ever have to go through that, living through a syndrome that you don't know what it is, you have no name for it, you don't know how to manage it. Over 15 years of my life in that, and that's why I started Cysters, so nobody else has to go through that.
Do you have a sister?
Yeah, I have a younger sister.
Is she experiencing?
No.
Can you imagine? Not at all.
How old is she?
How old is she?
About 20.
Oh, wow.
All right, so, you were quite lucky but before you met the doctor who diagnosed you of PCOS, you talked about going from hospital to hospital and most of them not even knowing what is wrong with you. Do you think that our medical practitioners or some hospitals are even equipped to be able to, tackle PCOS? Because somebody met me the other day and she was like, she's so young. She said she went for hormonal profiling and she wanted me to help explain to her what the results meant. And then she said, when she asked the nurses there, what should she do? Do you know what they told her? They said, you're still very young. Just forget about it. Go on with your life.
Oh.
Don't do anything. Yes, you have PCOS, but then, I'm telling you, they shut her down. And this is somebody who's trying to, take advantage of her life and, in case.
Now, could it be that it's because they also don't know how to advise?
That's exactly what I'm asking. That's what I'm asking.
That's why I speak about research, because PCOS is under-researched.
Yeah.
Aside from that, we also have a general dismissiveness from doctors. When we go to the hospital, they just say, come back when you're ready to get pregnant, come back when you're ready to get married. I'm like, there's something wrong with me. I'm not fine, right? And they don't deal with the mental aspect of it.
Exactly.
They don't deal with that. I feel like a lot of women's medical interventions, they are surrounded around reproduction, and that's not fine. That's not okay. we also deserve to live fine. We deserve to be happy. We deserve to be healthy. So I wish that more doctors actually listened to PCOS patients.
What about hormonal supplements? Do they work? Because I went into a pharmacy the other day when I was ill, and the chemist or the pharmacist showed me a supplement, you know, for those who have hormonal imbalance. And they're like, you know, for normal days, and then for the first few days before your period, so 7 days, you had different pills for that to help, you know, balance your hormones in that time. Do they work?
A lot of supplements help to, you know, hormonal issues and also to regulate your mood, because PCOS is heavily, you know, regulated by how we feel, depression and anxiety. However, I would say speak to your gynecologist. I don't want to mention any supplements here. Speak to your gynecologist before you use anything. There are many safe ones that work.
Okay.
Now, Fareedah, if you could go back, do you wish that you had known, like what exactly, actually even do you wish if there's anything that you would have known, but what do you wish that you would have known earlier, firstly about your body, about your symptoms, and of course maybe the options that were or are available to you?
I wish I knew about PCOS earlier. I wish that I experienced better health care. I wish that my doctor knew more information about PCOS. I wish that someone would comfort me and say everything is going to be fine, and PCOS does not equal infertility.
I like that you said that you wish that you had somebody that was going to tell you that everything is going to be fine. I think my question to you now is in terms of the homestead, because I mean, you said you were 9 years old. The support from the house, you didn't say you've got any children, but what advice would you give to a mother that is having a situation like that with a child in terms of support? Because it is more than just taking the child to the hospital to get diagnosed and whatnot. In terms of support, what advice would you give a mother that is probably dealing with a child at that young, early age that is dealing with this?
First of all, I would say shout out to my parents. They've been amazing. Despite not knowing, not having enough information about PCOS, they stayed with me. They were spending money going from one healthcare to the other. And PCOS management is not cheap. It's not cheap in Nigeria at all. And they kept spending money even up till now. They still regularly check up on me. So I'd say that for any parents that is dealing with children or girls that have PCOS, ensure first of all to get appropriate healthcare for them. Let them see gynecologists and get appropriate diagnosis. So for anyone that is going through any of these symptoms, make sure that they're diagnosed and, just be their support system. Speak to them, ask them questions, be a safe space for them so they can tell you whatever they're going through.
I was going to ask you that and say, before we let you go, because we really have to go, like, what advice and recommendations would you give for, people? But you just answered that. I want to say thank you so much, Fareedah, for coming on the show.
Thank you.
You've been such a tall glass of water.
I'm telling you, and
refreshing.
on behalf of the ladies, on the Jasiri table, we want to say we're so sorry you went through what you went through at a very young age, and we're so proud of you for what you have accomplished so far. And I think even though we might not have PCOS, well, in part, we understand, as women, we understand what she went through and what every other woman, with PCOS is actually going through. Thank you so much, Fareedah, once again.
Thank you for having me.
Well, today's conversation has been a powerful reminder that PCOS is more than a medical condition. It is an emotional, physical, and often invisible battle. Last month, the world marked PCOS Awareness Month, for those of you who remember. But today reminds us that awareness must continue because for women living with it, the journey does not stop in September. Fareedah, we appreciate you once again. So to the warriors living with PCOS, know that your struggles are real, your voice matters, and you are definitely not alone. And this has been Jasiri, where bold stories live. Join us again tomorrow for Hot Topics Friday. Bye for now.